Okay, hello everyone, and thanks for having me. I'm excited to tell you more about the hope and how we are closing the gap between nutritious and sustainable pet food. So pet parents today have to choose between nutrition and sustainability when they select food for their furry family. And the problem is that there are various concerns about traditional animal proteins. When we look at the environmental impact of pet food, livestock, poultry, and fish ingredients account for 70% of that impact. There are also a growing number of pets with food allergies, and in dogs, 96% of these food allergies are due to the same traditional animal proteins, livestock, poultry, and fish. When we look at the environmental impact and the health impact that these proteins have, we realize that the problem is not trivial. And when we look at the numbers, 25% of all meat in North America goes to pet food. So it's a significant contribution to these issues. However, removing livestock, poultry, and fish ingredients is easier said than done. If we were going to replace it with plant-only alternatives, that would mean that pets don't have all the nutrients that they need. And what we see increasingly in the industry with these plant-based alternatives is that they lead to an increase in synthetic supplements, which are petroleum-derived. So there is also that environmental component, but more importantly, there are safety concerns with recalls and the low bioavailability of these synthetic nutrients. So our solution to this problem is really to go beyond meat and beyond plants. So we're using natural, nutrient-rich, and eco-friendly ingredients. And we know that insects and algae and fungi should play a role in pet nutrition. Why? Because they have more protein than beef, more omegas than fish. They're planet-friendly, contain essential minerals and vitamins. And the best part of the solution is that pets love the nutty, umami, and fishy taste of these ingredients. Fortunately, there are already some ingredients that are available commercially, so we can use them in formulas that we create today. But the opportunity is huge in the potential of using novel ingredients from these novel sources. So creating pet food is really like a puzzle. So we have to figure out how to combine all these nutrients and provide all the nutrients that all these ingredients and provide all the nutrients that pets need. And we do that with an evidence-based approach that we like to think about it in three main components. So the first one is we create proprietary meat-free and fish-free formulas. The second one is we're actively doing research to develop a platform so that we can introduce ingredients to pet food in the future. So we have patent pending ingredients, and the process to produce these ingredients, it's something that we do. And the third one is science and technology can take us so far. I'm a scientist by training, and I now understand that really education, transparency, communication in the form of carbon labels will really help us make that transition to nutritious and sustainable pet food. We are in a thriving and resilient market. Pet food is recession-proofed, as many of us in the industry are now aware. The alternative protein pet food is still in its infancy. But based on the current figures that we know for plant-based and for insect-based pet food, we estimate our addressable market in North America to be about $10 billion. I also want to mention that there are these driving trends that indicate that this alternative protein pet food market will continue to grow in the foreseeable future: pet ownership, immunization, functionality, sustainability, and this idea of using food as medicine. So where do we sell our products? So our go-to-market strategy is really meeting health and eco-conscious pet parents where they shop. And we launched our first product line, which is insect protein based, and we're going for retail, specialty pet, and grocery. And we also have our direct to consumer through our website, and really want to pursue e-commerce. The value proposition that we are bringing is we provide hypoallergenic and sustainable protein, natural limited ingredients, and it's expertly formulated and third-party tested. And I have some metrics here that support the market for our products. Oops, sorry. So there are, oh, sorry, my dog. There are a few players in the alternative protein space in pet food, and the list is really growing. So this is just a sample, but we can divide them into two groups. So we have the traditional meat-based pet food producers that market themselves as humane and green, but they're still using livestock, poultry, and fish ingredients. On the other hand, we have the companies using alternative proteins, whether it's plants or fungi, but the issues that they're relying on a single ingredient to produce most of their pet food. So whether it's just plants or like relying on fungi, and what that means is that they are increasingly using more synthetic supplements. So what we're doing differently is we're creating a portfolio of products with novel ingredients and really reducing the use of synthetic supplements in pet food. And we also have the uniqueness that we have our own research and development arm developing more ingredients for the future, which will allow us to remain competitive. So we've made really good progress in the past 2 years. So we've established supply chains. We're working with 3 different manufacturers and validated product market fit. We have, as I mentioned, our insect protein line available with 6 SKUs. Dog treats and dog kibble, we have patent pending. We have a US patent application for the use of our ingredients, and we're working on filing a second one for how we produce this patent pending ingredient. We've obtained over $250,000 in non-dilutive funds, so I'm still fully bootstrapped. And in the summer, it was a busy summer, still summer, but we got distribution in specialty pet in West Canada, and we recently got distribution in grocery Canada-wide. So we've had really exciting growth in stores, and we want to, with these distribution partnerships, we'll continue seeing that. So these are some of the financial projections, and we really anticipate a lot of growth as a result of having these 2 new distribution partnerships for 2 different channels with a combined, so the distributors that we have now have a combined 5,000 points of sale in Canada. And so the next step is really to work with them to get our products on the stores that they serve. These are the balance that we have to make that I've had to make in the past couple of years, and that we have to continually make, is really balancing that short-term revenue growth and remaining innovative and developing these ingredients so that we can remain competitive in the future. And these are some of the milestones that we have, both in reaching stores, but also in the innovation and R&D space. But I'll get a bit more into more detail with the marketing and sales, as that's, I think, one of the key areas to discuss. And is that in our financial projections, we were looking at $1.2 million in annual recurring revenue by the end of 2024. And so I wanted to explain a bit more how we will achieve that. And so we want to be in 1,000 stores with an average order value of $85 per month. And that's really essentially like 3 cases of our products. So very small quantity. And as I mentioned, we're going for pet specialty, health, wellness, and grocery. We want to increase by the end of 2024 our product offering and have a fungi-based line for those pet parents that have that ick factor for insect protein. And this expansion in Canada will allow us to reach our goals. And this means we'll need to really add team members, because that's where we have like a significant barrier. How we reach our customers is really through integrated marketing campaigns, social media, merchandising, sample programs. That's what we want to do to support growth in grocery, as well as partner with organizations such as Toronto Humane Society, which we already partnered with, and also through e-commerce platforms. So this is the team behind Hope. I'm Sofia Bonilla. I'm the CEO and founder, and I have over 15 years of experience working at the intersection of biology, environment, and engineering. And I lead our small but mighty team of committed people. Our pet nutritionists, we have someone that supports our retail sales, and we have an amazing group of advisors, and these are just 3 of them, which have supported us really from the beginning. So we're raising our pre-seed round of $1 million, and we're looking for $500,000 in a safe and really match that, leverage those funds with government grants. We are in a unique position of being, women-led, addressing an environmental impact, and really in this thriving pet food market. And we will use those funds to expand distribution in Canada, product development, and advance the technology readiness level of our patent pending ingredients. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.
Wonderful.
What was the
Great
time?
job,
I
Sophia.
forgot to
It
time
was
it
10
again.
minutes. It's 10 minutes. Again,
I rushed
yeah.
through it.
No, that's okay. Well, that's why we practice, but it's better than too far over and us needing to cut you off. So great job, but do keep in mind you have a little bit more time, and so maybe adding a timer would be helpful to just remind yourself to pace. Okay, let's dive right into feedback. Nick, I saw you unmuted, so I think you're ready.
I was ready. First off, Sophia, great job. Really fun. Love what you're doing. You come off as really credible, and explain it really well. There's a lot of good detail there on the sort of the science that's gone into this and a background on it, which is great. So you go a lot into that. You had plenty of time, so no worries on that. But that could be something that you could probably condense in a shorter pitch if you had to, and stream that down. A couple of things. You didn't really talk up. You touched on it, but you didn't talk on maybe enough about the ideal customer profile and the specific pain that you're addressing, right? So for some of them, the pain might not be aware. An environmentally conscious pet owner might not be aware that there's an alternative, or may never have thought of the impact that's happening with them purchasing meat-based foods or what have you. Similarly, a health conscious pet owner might not be aware that the ingredients, many of them would, but some of them might not be aware that this option would be an alternative to avoid some maybe allergies that they're not aware of. And so really digging into that of the overall pet food, the pet owner market, that's your market. Like, who is this? Because there's some who don't care about the environment, and there's some who want to eat their steak and have their dog eat meat right next to them, and you're going to sort of forget about those folks to at least initially.
Exactly.
So you might touch on that a little bit. So this is who we're going after. I didn't see a picture of the product, like that would be helpful. Like in a bag, do you put it in a bag? Do you white label it? Like, just give me something so I can see that this is the stuff that I throw in the back of my truck and bring there, or something that just makes it real for me.
Thank you. Yeah.
Then product. Okay, so you talked about product and traction. You talked about having product market fit, and you had a note. So first off, you're talking about MRR, and I'm not sure it's truly all MRR. I presume some of this is just discretionary. Someone goes into a store, buys it, and you don't know what the revenue is going to be in a given month. Where you said MRR, so you have some direct subscription-based models. Is that?
No. So short answer is no. I used MRR as just the metric.
It's just monthly revenue.
Your
average
just monthly revenue. Okay. Yeah, so, average monthly revenue instead of recurring. Yeah,
it would be great to see a chart of what your monthly revenue is and what's going and how it's going up, because MRR is an easier way for someone to just look at it because it's recurring, so they kind of know what it means. Whereas transaction-based revenue is not MRR. It can go up, it can go down. Transaction revenue can go up faster though than MRR in a lot of ways. So don't be afraid, don't be shy about the fact that it's not MRR. A lot of people understand LTV, CAC, MRR, and all that stuff. You're not that, so don't worry about, just sort of break free from that vernacular. You did note the other part is like product market fit. How do you define product market fit? And how have you validated it? Sales isn't product market fit necessarily. You did have a note on 60% return rate direct to consumer. What does that mean?
So what that means is, for example, in our website, which is really now a minimal fraction of our sales and efforts, when people purchase our product, 60% of them come back. Okay.
So I don't know whether that's good or not. So that's something to give further context on. If there are industry standards for direct to consumer where the average pet food's 40% and you know that and you're 60%, that looks good. Otherwise, it might not. Either way, you want something here in this presentation that says people order this food and the dog, like the animals love it. That's a question. You didn't like are are your revenues going up because people are falling in love with the idea of giving their animals this food, but you've got the 60%, so that's good. You've touched on it already, but expand that to just that will be an investor's concern. Do the dogs, what do the dogs say, right? Show a picture of a smiling dog or something, I don't know. And then even just feedback from customers, that's a really important one. So the retailers, someone validating to say, holy crap, not only is this good for you and good for the environment, but you really want, that will be a concern for an investor. So, and you might not even have all of that now, and that's okay. And that's also something you can refine taste and, texture and all the stuff that maybe, the animals care about. So just address that. And then you talked a lot about the IP, which is great. But how scalable is this from a manufacturing perspective? What are the incremental expenses that would be required that if all of a sudden, the demand spikes through the roof, are you able to meet that demand, or do a couple of large dog pet food players jump in and just eat your lunch because they can scale and meet? You've uncovered this market for them, and then others maybe follow fast. I don't know whether they can based on IP protection or all the stuff that you're done, but touch on it. You don't have to figure out scalability 100%. Money can solve a lot of those issues. But maybe talk a little bit about how you're manufacturing it now, what your capacity is, and what threshold you'd start to run into issues in terms of production line.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a lot. Kathy, we'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Nick. Great job, Sophia. It's transformed a bit since through it maybe a year ago now. I don't even know. Has it been that long?
No, I think it was this year, but probably 5 months or something.
Okay, so I like the way you introduced the problem, and then the first page of the solution was really great. On the problem, you share some stats, and I think this might speak a little bit to Nick's comments around that value differentiation. So you said 25% of meat in North America is used for pet food, and then 70%, I guess, of the meat use in pet food is having negative environmental factors. I feel like you could make that problem statement a lot punchier, right? Just to be really clear that there's very little sustainability awareness in the pet food industry today, and here's the impact on the environmental footprint. And then you can specify the stats after that, but I feel like that could be a little bit punchier.
Okay.
And then on the next solution chart where you talk about your approach, so researching new formulas, you already have proprietary formulas in place. And then there was a third thing on there around education and transparency. And for me, in my mind, education and transparency would be part of your go-to-market strategy. That's about educating. Nick commented on this as well. Why should pet owners care that there's a sustainable alternative to the existing types of pet food? out there, right? So that's where I feel like that's where what you're getting at with the education and transparency, and it probably fits better under your go-to-market strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. You can think about that, you know, I mean, you went through it in 10 minutes and I just noted that. So maybe once you go through it again, that might not make, like, it might make sense the way you have it, but just give that a little bit of thought. So the market opportunity, really good. Visually, it might be good to show that as a funnel, you know, like global, it's this, and then North America, it's this, and here's what I think I can capitalize on, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then your traction chart is good, and I like the fact that you highlighted the IP that you're working on as well. When you're talking about expanding in the US, do you need to be concerned about regulatory approvals in the US that would be different from what you're doing in Canada?
No, not for the products that we have now. For the ingredient that we're working on for more like medium and long term, regulatory is an issue. But for the products that we have now, we formulate and produce our products for North America and European markets. So we follow both guidelines.
Okay. In the ask, you talk about, you show a pie chart, marketing team and R&D. I don't know. I've seen the ask done a whole bunch of different ways. And for me, visually looking at it, you know, there are marketing costs that aren't staff related, and there are R&D costs that aren't staff related, but I would embed them all, you know.
Okay, yeah, I had that question
what I need for marketing,
time.
here's what I need for R&D, here's what I need for back-end operations.
Okay,
and then you can
like
specify the
admin.
number of staff that will be backing that if you want to add that extra little bit of detail. And then Nick talked about this as well, but on the revenue projection chart, it's always great to show a graph that shows your revenue increasing over time. So you can do it monthly for 18 months if you want to kind of keep it contained, or you can do a 3-year to 5-year projection. And what you might do is, did I write? Oh yeah, so you have the 2 markets that you're going after, your direct to consumer market and your B2B2C market. So you could do those as bars and just have different colored bars for
yeah, good idea.
And that way you're showing that you're growing. The other thing that might be valuable, because right now you're asking for 500K to get you through the next period, which is to really solidify that traction and prepare to expand to the US. Might be valuable to highlight that somewhere, that, you know, assuming you get the 500K 18 months, then you're going to be looking for another 3 million. So you can do US and European expansion.
Okay.
Just on
okay, like where does this money will take us? Like the next stage.
Yeah, what's next? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That was awesome, Sophia. Great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this helpful feedback.
Hey, Sophia, one other thing, given you're leaning in on the IP side, a new program, there's IP Assist through IRAP that might be available through your ITA, which you might have already talked to them about for landscape briefs, but there's also Elevate IP, which Communitech's rolling out across Ontario. We're looking after it for Eastern Ontario, but I think you're in the GTA. They would have it, and you can get grants. You'll be able to get grants in the months and next year for, you know, up to 25K for IP protection and development and all of that stuff. So make sure you lean in on all of the IP programs out there to make sure you can maximize every government dollar you can get to subsidize your IP expenditures. So
that's great. Thank you. Yeah,
same for you,
knew
Lou,
about
but we can
IRAP,
talk.
but not the Elevate. But for sure, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.